You know, there's something brewing in Pittsburgh that not a lot of people are paying attention to. But maybe they should, because what if I told you that the Steelers' offense, the same one that's been under the microscope for the past few seasons, might be preparing a quiet little twist, not a flashy move, not a blockbuster trade, but a strategic zig while the rest of the league zags, and that kind of move. That's the kind of thing that can flip a season. Let's start with this. Across the NFL, the role of the running back has been slowly fading. Not disappearing, no, but changing, evolving, for 7 straight seasons. The total number of touches running backs are getting per game has gone down. We're talking about a steady drop. From over 56 touches per game back in 2017 to just over 54 this past season. Now, sure, that might not seem like a massive dip at first glance, but the real story, it's in the passing game. Receptions by running backs have taken a nosedive. In 2017, teams were averaging nearly 11 catches per game from their backs. Last season, not even 9, and that change is huge. Why? Because it tells us that teams are no longer building offenses that feature their backs as receivers. They're not investing in dual-threat running backs the way they used to. It's no longer about having a guy who can pound the ball between the tackles and run a clean route out of the backfield. That used to be the dream. That used to be the goal. Remember Le'Veon Bell? That kind of back was gold. So much so that Bell and his agent famously demanded to be paid like both a running back and a wide receiver. The league laughed, and now we're not even seeing backs get thrown to like that anymore. Now, let's bring this back to the Steelers, because here's where it gets interesting. When you think of Steelers running backs catching passes in recent years, one image probably jumps to mind. Najee Harris drifting into the flat, eyes somewhere else, and the ball clanking off his hands. You can see it, right? That little check down to the left, soft as a feather, and boom, dropped. It wasn't just your imagination. Najee had 4 official drops last season, but even more damning, he had one of the highest drop rates among all running backs. Over 8% of the passes thrown his way hit the turf. That's not just bad, that's near the bottom of the league. Meanwhile, on the other side of the running back room, Jaylen Warren quietly did the opposite. He caught 38 passes on 47 targets, just 1 drop. That's a guy who can catch. That's a guy who can move the chains, who can slip out after the snap and be a real option in the passing game. Not just a safety valve, a real part of the offense. And this is where the Steelers might be onto something. This is where we start connecting dots. The league is pulling away from throwing to running backs, so what if Pittsburgh leans in? What if, instead of following the trend, they go the other way? Think about how good teams create advantages. You've heard the phrase before, if everyone zigs, you zag. It's classic money ball stuff. And no, I'm not talking about the movie, I mean the book. The real Moneyball. Michael Lewis didn't write a story about baseball. He wrote about markets, about inefficiencies, about finding value where nobody else is looking. That book said, if the whole league wants to pay home run hitters, you find guys who get on base. You find the thing that's undervalued. And right now, that thing might be running backs who catch the ball. Baltimore did this with Lamar Jackson. They went bold. They built an offense completely around a skill set that didn't fit the mold. And it paid off. They didn't just change the Ravens. They forced the entire AFC North, maybe even the entire league, to adapt. That's the kind of move that wins games. That's the kind of move that defines eras. The Steelers have done this before. Think about Ryan Shazier. When they drafted him, he wasn't the prototype inside linebacker. He was smaller, faster, more athletic, more like a safety than a thumper, but that was the point. They saw where the game was heading, and they got there early. It worked. Shazier was electric before that tragic injury, or go back even further. Think about Troy Polamalu. That wasn't a conventional safety. That was chaos in a helmet. But it worked, because the Steelers saw what he could be, not just what he was, or even Cordell Stewart. Back in the day, a quarterback who could run, catch, line up everywhere, way ahead of his time. If Cordell were in the league today, with the way offenses have evolved, he'd be a problem. So why not do it again? Why not zig while the rest of the league zags? Here's what I'm hearing. There's real excitement in Pittsburgh about a guy you might not be talking about yet, but you will. Caleb Johnson, and not just because he's a new name in town. No, it's about how the Steelers are looking at him. They believe he can be that guy. The one who catches out of the backfield. The one who breaks the mold. The one who gives defenses Something else to worry about. We've seen flashes, we've heard the buzz. And I've been told, flat out, that the coaching staff sees it, not just college tape. What they're seeing now in camp, in drills, in the room, they think he can be that kind of back dot, and now it starts to come together, right? A quarterback who historically loves throwing to his backs. A new offensive coordinator who might be open to shaking things up. A league that's ignoring this area, and a trio of running backs, yes. Potentially 3, who can all catch the ball in different ways. Maybe Najee cleans up the drops. Maybe Warren becomes a bigger piece, and maybe Johnson is the secret weapon. This is how you build edges. This is how you become a team that doesn't just chase what everyone else is doing, but sets the tone. Offenses in the NFL succeed when they create mismatched nightmares. Think about Christian McCaffrey. Think about Alvin Kamara in his prime. When you've got a guy who can line up in the backfield, motion into the slot, catch a screen, or even beat a linebacker on a wheel route, that's where things get dangerous. That's where you force defenses to play on their heels. So maybe, just maybe, the Steelers are planning something like that. Maybe they're quietly preparing to break a trend. Maybe while the rest of the league is tossing that part of the playbook in the trash, Pittsburgh's over here drawing up ways to make it work again. It wouldn't be the first time. And if it hits, that's the kind of wrinkle that can change the whole dynamic of a season. Of course, none of this works without execution, without buy-in, without the offensive line giving these guys time and space, without the quarterback trusting that the outlet is worth looking at. But if they're all on the same page, if the coaching staff builds this right, the Steelers might have something more than just a sneaky new wrinkle. They might have the start of a real identity. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about a subject that's been on a lot of fans' minds since the offseason kicked off. Aaron Rodgers and how he fits into the Steelers' offense under Arthur Smith. It's a question that gets asked over and over, with people wondering just how much freedom Rodgers will have to call his own plays, too audible at the line of scrimmage, and really make the offense his own. Here's the thing with Aaron Rodgers. If you've followed his career closely, you know he's never been a quarterback who plays like a typical play caller on the field. He's got this incredible football IQ, this almost sixth sense when it comes to reading defenses and adjusting in real time. And he's been doing it at the highest level for over 15 years. So, naturally, when he moves to a new team, there's a lot of curiosity about how much control he'll get. Will he have the reins, or will he be locked into a strict game plan designed by the coaching staff? From what I've gathered, and this comes from multiple sources familiar with the situation, the answer is a bit of both. Arthur Smith is a coach who definitely has his own vision for the offense. He's not just handing the keys over and saying, "Go wild." He's got his system, his concepts, his style, and it's one that the Steelers have been gradually trying to install. But he also knows who Aaron Rodgers is, and he knows what he brings to the table. Rodgers isn't just another quarterback. He's a rare breed, one of the best decision makers the league has ever seen. So the smart move here is to blend Smith's offensive structure with Rodgers' instinct and experience. You won't see Rodgers rewriting the entire playbook overnight, nor will you see him running a completely different system than what Smith has built. But you will see adjustments, audibles, and calls at the line that reflect Rodgers' unique ability to read and react faster than almost anyone else out there. In fact, it reminds me a lot of situations in other sports where a star player's input is invaluable and must be respected. Take hockey, for example, in Pittsburgh's own backyard. Sidney Crosby is widely regarded as one of the best players ever when it comes to the power play. Mike Sullivan, the Penguins coach, never tries to micromanage Crosby's every move. Sure, there's a system and there are structures in place, but when Crosby has the puck, he's given the freedom to create. The coach trusts his instincts, his vision, and his experience. Why? Because it works. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers, and don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a move that has sent shockwaves throughout the NFL community, Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin has reportedly confirmed the possibility of trading star linebacker T.J. Watt to the Philadelphia Eagles, while no official announcement has been made by the teams. Tomlin's comments have fueled a growing buzz around what could become one of the most significant trades in recent NFL history. The Steelers, known for their passionate fan base and tradition of defensive prowess, have been cautious in revealing their plans for Watt, a three-time Defensive Player of the Year and a cornerstone of their defense. Tomlin's confirmation, however, suggests that discussions are well underway and that a deal with the Eagles could be closer than many expected. Philadelphia has been aggressively pursuing ways to bolster their defense after a season marked by inconsistency in pass rush and run defense. Adding a player of Watt's caliber would instantly elevate their front seven, giving them a formidable weapon to pressure opposing quarterbacks and disrupt defensive schemes. The Eagles, led by a high-powered offense, have been looking to complement their squad with defensive star power, and Watt fits perfectly into that blueprint. Sources close to the situation hint that negotiations have been intense, with both teams exploring various options that could involve draft picks and players moving in both directions. While the exact terms remain confidential, insiders suggest that the Eagles are prepared to make a substantial offer, reflecting Watt's elite status. In the league, fans and analysts alike are debating the implications of such a trade. For the Steelers, moving on from Watt would signal a new direction for the franchise, potentially focusing on rebuilding or reallocating resources. Meanwhile, the Eagles would be sending a strong message to the rest of the NFL, showing their intent to compete at the highest level by acquiring one of the league's top defenders. Though the trade is far from finalized, Tomlin's recent remarks have certainly opened the door to serious speculation. Is this the start of a new era for both teams? Will Watt bring his defensive dominance to Philadelphia and change the landscape of the NFC East? Only time will tell, but for now, the NFL world watches closely as this potential blockbuster deal unfolds. Stay tuned for further updates as the situation develops. The TJ Watt trade saga is just beginning, and its impact could reshape the NFL landscape in ways fans never imagined. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.